Recorded myself last night making a commissioned piece for one of the other paramedics that I work with. She grew up out in California, was a big Oakland Athletics fan back in the 80s and 90s. So she wanted a Bash Brothers booklet, which I definitely thought was kind of a neat idea. So I filmed myself putting it together. It's a little bit of a lengthy process. A lot of the videos you're going to see I sped up to 2 or 3 different times the normal rate, so that way you can see all of the stuff that I did to put it together, the mistakes that I made, all that kind of stuff. So if you need to see anything slower or anything like that, feel free to message me or put a comment in there and I can reach out to you and either explain or send you the video in real time or pictures, so that way if you're looking to do something like this on your own, you know how. I had pre-cut the borders. I used the insert in the booklet itself for the sizing, so I just used 2 cards. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, put on their sides, as well as a small piece in the middle to kind of give it one solid card. So that way, when I put some vinyl on it, it doesn't look weird. Because I used 2 of the same cards from the same set, I got to use the borders from that set. This was a 1986 reprint anniversary set. Both McGuire and Canseco were on Oakland at the same time, obviously. So it allowed for the images to be roughly the same size. It kind of made for the symmetry to be a little bit better. My recommendation, if you're doing something like this on your own, is to use the same card border or 2 card borders, and then use whatever images you want on the inside. So booklets are a little bit trickier than regular cards, obviously, as you're seeing here. You want to make sure that you can kind of it's got to make sense, so it has to be symmetrical in the end. You can do 2 different halves. I've seen people that have done 2 different sides. I'm going to be doing another one soon for her as well, Battle of the Bay from the 1989 World Series. That was the Earthquake World Series where the bridge collapsed, so that should be interesting as well. But it would be done the same as you see this. So this was a lot of sizing. I've done a couple of booklets already, but one was a complete custom for a guy who played in the NFL. So, and the other one was the first one that I made, which was for one of my old partners, which was a Dallas Cowboys one. So still kind of learning with the booklets as I go. I definitely like the look of them. I know LJ's Customs, he does a lot of booklets like this as well, and they absolutely look completely phenomenal. His work is, he's one of the reasons why I'm even doing this. His style of card art is exactly what it is that I want to be doing. So, but I don't use the same borders he does out of respect for him. So I'm using the nameplates here to kind of bridge them together when I'm done. This is a lot of measure twice, cut once, or at least as much as possible. So I had to pick which kind of green I wanted to use. My wife told me to use the one on the right, which is the one I went with. I probably would have went with the one on the left, but I did what I was told. So, and it looked okay in the end. I'm not upset with it by any stretch. I wanted it to be one color. The issue is when you have multiple colors, you could have different layering, and that can look weird. So if I use like a holographic vinyl like this, and then I use a textured vinyl or construction paper, like you start mixing it up, the depths get to be a little bit different. And optically, sometimes that might look weird. So I haven't done it much, so I can't swear by it or say that I wouldn't do it, but that's the reason why I didn't do more of a complex background on the booklet. I wanted to keep it simple and put it together the right way, which, as you'll see later on in the video, turned out to be a smart move because I still have a lot of kinks myself to work out. So all the rest to this point is the same principle as doing any other custom card. You're just kind of doing 2 side by side at the same time, kind of. So they also sell other booklet cases that are vertical instead of horizontal. So those tend to be a little bit harder to make look like a regular card because it's just a lot taller. So those are regular borders. The depth is still 6 each, just like I would use on a regular 180 point card. Obviously you leave the one end open, so that way you can kind of make like a U shape and you put them together. What I chose not to do here is you'll see 2 little spots at the top. Those were going to be trimmed down and put in between to kind of make it one solid piece. I didn't want to do that because I wanted to have some leeway with how I needed to move things, and I didn't think they were necessarily necessary. So I felt like I ran more of a risk of screwing it up instead of making it better. But you absolutely can do that. Maybe in hindsight I would do it. I can tell you at the end, optically and aesthetically, it did not make the card look any better or any worse. So, like I said before, you see a lot of just re-looking at it. I got to see exactly, like, I knew what I wanted it to look like in my head, but I needed to really make sure that that's how it kind of ended up playing out. I had the 2 different A's patches. That was the plan initially. You'll see that that's going to change. Yep, there you go. So I added, I have a Major League logo patch. I was like, I think a patch in the center would look nice. Otherwise, it's going to look a little vacant. Or I would have had to push the 2 A's patches together, which I guess could have looked nice. Or I could have done a singular A's patch and in the middle with no other patches up behind, which would have allowed for a more artsy background. I could have done different stuff in the back as well with just doing the singular patch in the middle. So I had a lot of options. So again, same principle here with putting the tape on the patches. I know it's a little bit tedious, but the whole point of the video is to show you kind of how I made it. But same thing before, put the patch down. I did not push it down. That's why you can still see that I can move it. The moment you push it down, it's basically, it's there, and to pull it back up is a pain in the butt, which you'll see in the MLB logo patch. I had to move that once, and I got lucky that it worked out okay and didn't pull up any of the vinyl and cause like air bubbles or anything obnoxious to deal with. So the circular patch, instead of cutting the top and the bottom to make it like centered, if you will, I decided to just cut the bottom because it was a lot more forgiving. So there's a problem that you can't see in the video, is underneath that athletics patch, the actual borders are a tad bit thicker than the border on the top card, which is, to me, it really bothered me. I was trying to figure out a way on how to like take it all back apart and fix it. It looked okay in the end. It's not like it looks bad, but the little things like that I noticed, and I will remember for the future. If you care about doing this like anything else, you'll remember like the subtle, like that could have been better, and that should be better moving forward. So my advice to you is make sure you're on the Conseco. If you look on the bottom, that border is just a little bit thinner than the top, and I didn't account for that when I was actually trimming the borders and gluing them together a couple of days ago. And it's completely an oversight on my behalf, and that's why you see me looking at it right there a bunch of times trying to move it. I'm like, what the hell? So, and I didn't have anything that I could put there to kind of like line the border to make it look a certain color, which is another thing I could have done as well. So I have a heat gun that I want to experiment with as well. That might make for a cool video, just to see if there's any difference or change, and if so, I can record that and make a video out of it. If it doesn't, then I'm obviously not going to make a video of it, but it certainly am intrigued. I just haven't had the time lately to kind of mess with it. So now I'm just trimming it so that way the images were a little bit longer than the base itself. You can use a straight edge to kind of like make sure you keep the cuts straight. You don't want to accidentally cut the border, because then you really have big problems. I don't know how you even fix that. It might just be SOL, and you may have to start over or get another card. And so there are certain points when building these things. It's one of those, like, you know, if you mess up at a certain point or you cut something you didn't mean to, it's almost impossible to recover from it. So not all the time, just at certain points. So with these cases as well, you'll see I put something underneath the cases. If you're going to do like what I'm doing, where you know, I'm visually seeing how this is going to look, making sure that once this stuff is glued and set, like that's where it's going to be. Those cases can scratch kind of easily, and I don't want the cases to scratch on my self-healing board. So that's why I put like a piece of paper or something underneath it, because I don't want it to look like crap. Once Christine gets this, you know, I have a stand for it and stuff like that. But I want it to look clean. I don't want it to be all scuffed up and stuff, just because I didn't like take care of it the right way, kind of thing. So my advice would be put something underneath. I do the same thing with the regular 180 point cases for the regular size cards. So they scratch easy. One of the guys I mailed them to in Texas, he kind of texted me and said, hey, you know, they're nice and they're perfect, but you got to put something around them, otherwise they're going to scratch the hell out of the case. So I waited to put the nameplates at the top and bottom to bridge it, because I wanted to make sure everything else lined up. If I had put the nameplates on the way I probably was going to before I put it on like this, I would have actually had a bigger issue as far as lining it all up. So, same thing as the other cards, put some pressure on it, you know, make sure everything gets pushed down, because the glue will dry in about 5 or 6 minutes, but it's still a little bit tacky. So if it starts to separate, if you put pressure on it, it will actually hold it in place nice and tight, and that tends to take away any issues with the separation and stuff like that I've had in the past. So. You see here, when I looked closely at the MLB patches, that with the nameplate, it was like the spacing was off just a little bit, and it wasn't completely as level as I could make it. So that's what you see me fixing. I'm trying to peel back a small piece of the tape, so that way the tape is not exposed underneath the patch, because when you look at it in person, you can see the tape on the vinyl if it's out past the patch. So. Which is actually a good thing, because then you know that you got to kind of like, because it's so visible, you can kind of pick it up and fix it. So I don't have backings for these like I do for the regular cards. I could make them, I just haven't. This is only my third booklet I've ever made. So what I end up doing, and you'll see here shortly, is I just take a piece of either sticker paper or vinyl in a color that like I'm not really using much for anything, and I put that on the back. I don't think I need to worry about it, but same thing applies to this as anything else. I don't want anybody to mistake the fact that it's not like it's a custom booklet, it's a custom card. I don't want anybody to think, you know, that this was an actual pull from some sort of Topps product or something like that. That's not what you want to do. My cat decided to come and hang out. I was overall pretty happy with it. I think it came out pretty good. This is me screwing around with the vinyl. I peeled off the backing before I put it down, and it wanted to keep rolling back up on me, so that became a nightmare, which actually is a problem, because if you don't pay attention to that stuff and treat it very gingerly, it will crease or something like that. I cut this without an issue, but at the end, or in a little bit when you see me flip it over, you will see a small crease in the back. It's not bubbled up or anything, it's just from when it rolled up like that, it got pinched. So if you use any of this adhesive vinyl, it's something that you wanna kind of like take care of. You see it right on the top there. So, well, that's pretty much the finished product. I was pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty neat. It definitely, the theme is what matters to the person that wanted it, and it looks pretty decent. I was pretty happy with it, and definitely a lot of opportunities moving forward with these kind of cards. So they're a little bit more labor intensive, a little bit more pricey because of the cases and stuff. Not a whole lot, but you know, I like them. I was happy with the product. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. All right, have a good one.